Hey guys, it's Chris here with this week's creative class. So I think you're going to find this a fun class. At the beginning, always when we get new ink colors, I do like to do a couple of projects that feature the new ink colors because there's something that you know are going to be sticking around for a little while. So when I actually designed this project, I did it with the 2025 to 2027 ink colors, but we're going to make this project today with the new ink colors for 2026 to 2028. But I'm going to show you what I have in this little cute box, and then we'll get started on the second version. Okay, I'm going to add my desk in here. Okay. So it is a note card box. So they're little cards, but you could obviously adapt the measurements to be A2 size cards. But I thought this was just a sweet little project. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. There we go. Okay. So this is actually based off of a box that we saw at Onstage. So, and I'm actually going to create my second version with the crumb cake cardstock also because I thought it's a super, it's a great neutral color or basic color to mix with ink colors. So like I said, I'm going to create my box in the same color, but you'll see all the cards are actually feature the ink colors. So it's got a little belly band. And then I used a piece of window sheet to put my little cover on here. So just so that it looks, like complete when you give it to somebody. And then this is the little box. And like I said, I just thought it was a cute little box. So I thought we would recreate it. So like I said, this set is like the last year's colors. So but there's Secret C, and then like the little envelopes just tucked inside, but we're going to use new products. There's Darling Duckling, Cloud Cover, Timid Tiger, and then Strawberry Slush. So I do really like these, this grouping of ink colors. They're nice and bright and cheery. And so, like I said, I totally didn't have a problem starting creating this. So you'll see like two different versions. Everything else I'm going to keep exactly the same. I'm just going to obviously change the colors for the second set. So they all feature the little butterfly punch, and then this is the rounded rectangle punch also. So I'm just going to move this set out of my way, and we're going to get started. Okay, so there is a full sketch in the Google Drive, and I'm just going to point this out because I actually already have, I cut and scored my window sheet beforehand, but so the measurements for the window sheet are over here, and then all the cards are the same, right? Except for we're just changing the colors. So I do have the measurements all listed here for your layers. And then your box is obviously the most complicated part. I tried to make it seem as easy as possible. So there is also a design space link, but your piece of paper is 12 inches in one direction. So I did actually score this one on my Cricut. I just used a longer mat and put my piece of cardstock slightly lower down to make it feed through. So I'm also maybe going to include a photo of this, which is like my template. So I'm going to rescore this just so you can see how I've actually done that, even though it's actually got the score marks on it already. But sorry, I could not see my trimmer here. Okay, so like I said, this is 12 in one direction and 10 and a half in the other. And never follow me while I score and do your scoring. I will definitely, let me zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so you can see this is what we want in the end. Okay. So you are better to go with a visual like this than listening to my words sometimes. I will try and get it all correct as we go. Let me just move this out of my way here, as well as this. Okay. So I've cut it to 12 by 10.5. Okay, so on my, we'll do my 12-inch side first. So I'm just going to score at 1/4. And then 1 3/4. 3 1/4. 8 3/4. 10 1/4. And then 11 3/4. Okay, so that's my 12-inch side. Now I'm going to do my 10.5-inch side, which is at 1/4. And then 1 3/4. 3 1/4. 8 3/4. No, sorry. We missed one. 7 1/4. Because this is my shorter side. So then 8 3/4 and then 10 1/4. Okay. So I'm just going to fold on all of my lines. I'm going to bring this back into the camera so you can see. This is the long way, right? I'm trying to figure out how best to get everything in the camera view. Okay, now we need to cut away. So on our 12 and on my sketch, I did try and show it so that you know where to cut away and what to leave. these little X's didn't fit on the little tiny pieces very well, but you guys kind of get the idea. So I'm going to cut it exactly the same way I have done this one. So first though, I know I don't need this skinny. I'm going to cut up this way on all my sides. Well, on my long sides, sorry. Okay, so now I know I can cut away my tiny little strips. Get them out of my way. Okay, so these pieces, we need all of this. So we're not cutting away any of that. But these ones only have the one little tab. So I can cut down on all the sides, these ones. Okay, and then I am going to trim out just a little sliver so that they fit in nicely. Okay. So this box is kind of neat because it's a little bit different. So the way that they used the design was so that they used the new masks to ink the box they were creating. So the way the box goes together, the whole outsides end up on the inside. So your box ends up like showing all the sides. So if you wanted to add ink with one of the masks, let me just grab that. Right, so there's the little dotted one or the pebble one. You can add it to the outside of your box, and it will show on the outside of your box and the inside, because when the pieces all get folded together, right, you can see how the inside comes in here. Just the bottom wouldn't be stenciled, but you could very easily add another insert that was stenciled and the whole box would match. So I'm not sure if that's clear as mud, but I thought it was kind of a neat concept. Okay, so let's just get my glass mat in here because I'm going to start some gluing. And okay, so for quickness here, I'm going to use like a tape roller, but I probably wouldn't. Well, maybe we'll just use tear and tape. It'll be okay. It's not as fast. So no, maybe I'll just go ahead and, okay. So I would normally use tear and tape or glue, right, on these flaps, right, and square it up. Hopefully the adhesive will at least keep it together long enough to get us for us to get through this project. Okay, so it's on the first set of tabs. So these 4 on the inside. I don't know if this is going to stay together long enough to do this, but that's okay. Then I tucked my short ends in first and added a little bit of adhesive. Okay, and then I will add adhesive to my long pieces. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back, and I will come back and glue everything together better after. And square everything up, but I just want you to kind of get the idea. So you can see now by the way you fold it, you end up with your whole outside on the inside and the outside. So if it was ink blended, you get the effect coming all the way around. I'm sure that's clear as mud right now. Okay, so then I have my piece of window sheet, right? That's going to go in here like this. Okay, and then we have our belly band that we need to create. Here's just my second. Because somehow I actually ended up with 3 sets of acetate already scored. Okay, so then for my belly band, for my second set that I'm doing in the new in colors, I'm still going to leave my belly band, the crumb cake, and this is just the offcut piece that's left over after the box. And I'm going to use the Barely Blush in place of Secret C. I'm going to leave my butterflies. So my butterflies, I did Versamark them on a piece of crumb cake, and I already punched them out because you're going to see me do that lots and lots of times. So I'm not going to do that, but we're going to stamp our stamp. This, okay, so the stamp sets that I used. So this piece, this, and all my sentiments came from Exciting Times that has the coordinating punch right here. And we're going to use that for our cards. And then all of Flutter. I did, so beforehand, just so when we get to the cards, I did do a set of butterflies for each card. They're just on basic white, and I heat embossed them with white embossing powder beforehand. Okay, so the label doesn't have a punch. I did fussy cut this, but I'm just going to stamp it first. Okay, and while we just give that a second to dry. I punched out a piece of crumb cake for my top layer. And in the center, it says, "Let's celebrate." So I just trimmed around the outside, and then you can, I'm going to fussy cut the corners, but you could actually leave them if you want. Or if you just took a hole punch to the corner, that would also work. I'll show you what I mean. Maybe I'll do that. So if you didn't want to fussy cut them, let me just grab my hole punch. Okay, you guys, you know what? My hole punch is not working very well, so I am going to fussy cut them. But if you have a small hole punch, you could also do that. I just don't want to get my paper jammed in there. Obviously, I think that hole punch is like crazy a lot years old, so it does not surprise me that, okay. So, and I was just going to see, I just adhered these two together. But you saw it, like it took no time. So then for the belly band, we're just going to score it. I think it's scored already. No, it is not. So I'm going to score it at I'm just going to do 2 score lines at 4 1/8 and 8 1/4. And let me grab my ribbon. So this is Barely Blush. I actually don't think I said that. But so I just need my Barely Blush ribbon, which I have not even opened yet. They just came. So it's like static cling stuck to me. There we go. Okay. Okay, so those just give you the across, right? So we're going to put this on the bottom because a belly band always fits better if you actually score it to your box, right? So I'm just pinching it and then I'll score it. Trying to straighten it out a little bit. And before I adhere everything together, I will double check it again. Okay, so I can add some glue on each end. One on the inside and one on the outside. I'm just going to move my acetate out of the way so I don't get glue on it. So you could also not add the acetate layer and just use the belly band to hold your cards in if you prefer. Okay, so then I'm going to cut a length of ribbon on my box. Now, if I need to, I can cut my end off a little bit. But I'm going to just check, right? And I'm actually fine. So I'm just going to add a little piece of turn tape. Okay, so our box is ready. Oh no, maybe I should have done the cards first. Sorry. Okay, so there we go. This is for our new set of, oh, and we need our butterflies. So I think I have one large one. So there's 3 sizes of butterflies. There's a small, a medium, and a large. And so I used a large and a medium. And I'm just going to lay it down flat, and I'm going to adhere them. You could do it with glue, or I'm just going to use glue dots. And I didn't add color to these butterflies. I do to all the rest, and we're just going to do that with like the coordinating ink, right? But if you wanted to, you could add color to these. I didn't. I just left them plain. Okay. So our box is ready to go. So now I'm going to pull out I don't know how I managed to make quite so much of a mess in not doing very much yet. Okay, so there's our 2 boxes. Now we're going to create our set of cards. So I obviously created one for every in color. You also don't have to, right? Your whole set could be the same color if you wanted. They don't have to all be different. So this is what we're going to use. So for each card, I have a note card, an envelope. So here are my envelopes. I'm just gonna put them on my box so we don't lose them. Okay. And then I have 5 note cards. Okay. So this is just one folded. Then the layers for the paper measurements are all on the sketch, which I actually don't have in front of me right this second. And you're better to look at the sketch anyway. So, but they are 1 piece of cardstock. Then there is a piece of decorative paper for every color. So, right, hydrangea hue, berry blush, peaceful pine, crisp cantaloupe, and golden glow. And then there's 2 sizes of white. We're going to ink one up, the smaller piece, and then the back piece is just to mat it. So all the whites are going to stay the same. Okay. So, and I have not started my blending brushes for my new ink colors, and we're going to watercolor with the ink pads the butterflies. So I'm thinking we will do that first. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of butterflies. You're not going to see them. So I stamp them with Versamark and heat emboss them with white. I'll pull out my inks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so peaceful pine, golden glow, hydrangea hue, crisp cantaloupe, and berry blush. So I just need my water brush. And this one is empty, so I'm just going to go get a little jar of water. Okay, I kind of cleaned up my surface because I had a lot going on here. But so I'm literally just going to first walk you through the elements of each card so that if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can go ahead and probably create them yourselves. So like I said, there's the layer of cardstock. Then there's a piece of the designer series paper that coordinates the layer of basic white. Then we're going to ink blend a piece of basic white, and then I did splatter it with the coordinating ink. Then each card has a rectangle stamped with the coordinating ink color. And then the sentiment, I did all of them in black. And then there's a piece of ribbon. There's on these ones, the in color flat pearls. And then I colored the butterflies with watercoloring with ink pads. Just so that if there's parts you don't want to watch, because it will be quite repetitive, maybe I'll do a brighter one to start and walk you through start to finish, and then I will finish the other cards. But so you'll see one start to finish. So maybe we'll do crisp cantaloupe. So first thing I'll do is I'll actually do my butterflies. Okay, so they're the new magnetic ink pads, right? So it's super easy to get ink into your little well. Like I said, you're not going to see the butterflies, but you'll see them in a second. Sorry, my Zoom seems to be missing all of a sudden. I'm not sure where it went, so I was going to zoom in so that you didn't have to look at my mess over here, but I can't see it right this second, so we're just going to keep on going. So you could color your butterflies however you want. And like I said, you can make the whole set the same. Like if somebody has like a favorite color, you can make a whole little gift set of these for them. You can make it a little bit darker if you want. It's totally up to you. Obviously, I'm also trying to not be here with you for 3 hours, right? So then I'm going to do my ink blending and splattering. Then we can let that dry. So these are my smaller layers. You could also add ink to your butterflies with your blending brush if you wanted more color. And I kind of wanted the mottled look so that I would get lots of the color there. Okay, so I'm just picking up some of my ink, and then I can splatter it. I think I'm going to use my rankers to get a little bit of like the straight color. But apparently not for Peaceful Pine because it just fell behind my counter. So I will get that off. So I've got some water, like lighter splatter on there. Okay, so there's like water droplets and then ink splatter. So now I'll put one together so that if you want to turn me off now because you don't want to watch me put together all of them, you totally can. I'm just going to quickly wipe my surface here. Sorry, I have not opened any of my ribbons because they just arrived. There we go. Okay, so we have our card base. And like I said, these are just like the note card package. So then and I did do these all flat. You could totally pop anything up that you would like to. The only thing that I popped up was my sentiment. Okay. We have to do our stamping too. I didn't use the side with the large dots because when I add my next layer on, then you wouldn't be able to see it. So I wanted the little polka dots. This is still a little bit wet, but we're going to attach it. And actually I want more of the distressing at the bottom. I don't know, just totally personal. Okay, so then I'm just trying to figure out where to stand because the dog is literally right behind my desk. Okay, so we've got those pieces up there. So then we need to stamp our sentiment. So we have these pieces. I just loaded, and I did just vary the cards. You could also make them all the same. That's totally up to you. So this is the one for crisp cantaloupe. And like I said, I thought it would be good to start with this one because you can see everything. We'll do happy birthday to you. And then I will punch it out. And we can punch out our butterflies. I'm going to have to trim this down. So my length of ribbon. And I'll just add a piece of turn tape over top of it to hold it down. Then I added dimensionals. Then if I need to, I'll trim my ends. And I have a small, the large. This is the large. No. Yep. This is the large. And that's the medium. and I'll just grab the dots. Okay, I am back. So we're going to attach the butterflies with a glue dot. If you guys prefer glue, totally up to you. And then the only thing left I have to do is to add the embellishments. And I did use the new flat ones. If you wanted more butterflies, there's the little butterfly embellishment that matches the in colors. Okay, so there's start to finish how one card actually comes together, right? So if you want to turn me off now, all the rest are exactly the same, right? And then I just stack them in the box, put my piece of acetate in, and then covered them with the belly band, right? And I'll put the Barely Blush on the top to coordinate with my ribbon. You could also leave the ribbon off or use just a more generic color. But now I'm just basically going to repeat that with other colors until I'm done. So next up, I will do the Barely Blush. So on my note card, I'll just leave this one here. This doesn't have the acetate piece on it so that there's no glare, but you can see that. And then I'll build this box as we go. So I'll pull out my Barely Blush pieces. So my layer of cardstock. And then my designer series paper. My larger piece of white. So now I will ink blend on my smaller piece and color my butterflies. And while I paused the camera, I did pull out my Peaceful Pine re-inker from behind my cabinet. I will just quickly paint my butterflies. Move those to the side. I will also just splatter with some water. While we wait for this to dry, I will do my sentiment for this card. We'll do a thank you so much. And we'll punch out our butterflies. I'm just gonna turn my corner a little bit so I can line up my punch a little bit better. So I will put my ribbon down first with a little bit of turn tape. got a layer. So I'm just going to twist it to pull it off, and everything should still be together. Just set it aside here, and I'll add my distressed ink blended layer in there. Of course, because I was waiting for it to dry. There we go. I'm like, wait a second, why does that look super pale? Okay, so we can add this back in here. Small, a large, and a medium. And then our gems. Okay, so there's our Barely Blush. So now we'll do our Golden Glow. So I did my water first. And you can always stop it too if you want by just picking it up. And then I'll do a little bit of splatter. And I love that each background looks completely different. And so now I'll do my set of butterflies. So we have, I'll drop that down in there now. We have our card base. And our layers. we go. Now our decorative layer, or decorative designer series paper layer, I guess. And this is the larger white one. We'll do our stamping. Let's celebrate. My distressed inked layer. We won't forget it this time. And another piece of turn tape. You guys, if you could see how many things I've dropped today, you wouldn't even believe it. Okay, so our sentiment, and then I'll trim my ends to make them prettier. We'll punch our butterflies. And then my dots. So there's our golden glow. 2 more left. So we'll do our hydrangea hue. I'll do my water. A little bit of ink splatter. And my butterflies. We'll do our stamping. We're getting there, guys. I'll do another thank you so much. You could also just do thank you. So you only have 2 piles left. Our ink distress piece. Oh, see, I knew I picked up something the wrong size. Okay, sorry, my son is out of town and he called, so I had to pick up the call. We are good. We are in the home stretch. We have 2 cards left. We just have to assemble this one and finish our Peaceful Pine one. Okay, so just like all the rest, I just wrap the ribbon to kind of create like a faux bow, and I just use my hand as like the width that I'm looking for. You guys are probably like, Chris, this is like the never-ending class. I'm sure everybody could just fast forward through me at this point. So thank you so much. And my gems. Okay, last one. So I will take a photograph of the second set with the new in colors. Here's my peaceful pine. And add it to the Google Drive. But everything is already in there for you, right? The inspiration sheet, all the photographs. Everything should be scheduled to go live on class day. And our sentiment. And let's do another happy birthday to you. You could also splatter with the new shimmer brushes if you wanted, or color your butterflies with the new shimmer brushes too, because they're in all these colors, right? So that is another option for you. There we go. We'll add our dimensionals. Our butterflies. So my large one right there. My medium one at the bottom. And my small one at the top. Okay guys, we are finally finished. So there's our peaceful pine, our hydrangea hue, our golden glow, our barely blush, and our crisp cantaloupe. So then I do just tuck my envelopes inside like this, and then I stack them in my box. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that and look forward to playing with the new in colors or using the same class rate for the old in colors, or even if you have still extras left over from other ones, right? So I can just drop on my piece of acetate and add my belly band. So I will take some photographs of this set and I'll add them to the Google Drive. Hope you guys all have an awesome day. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.